Hey VC, how you doing? This is a different type of video. I'm not going to show any new finds. In this video, I'm kind of a celebration. It has been, this month, it has been 3 years since I joined the VC. My first video was posted in June, 3 years ago, and I can't believe 3 years have gone by, and damn near 1,500 records later or so. Here I am still sitting in front of the camera talking about records, and amazing. I didn't think it would last 3 years, but anyway. So in this video, I'm just gonna talk about joining the VC, since this month is my 3-year anniversary of being in it. I love, when I first found the VC, let me go way back. When I first found the VC, I think there's only 2 members I was watching. It was Spellerine and Mr. Hall of Fame. And I was just blown away by their record collections. They collected different types of music, but it was just so interesting watching them talk about music. Some of their albums I was familiar with, some I wasn't. It was just cool to watch, even if I'm a big fan of that music or not. It was just cool to watch someone talk about their love of music and why they love it, and you could see it in their eyes and the way they were talking about it, how passionate they were about their favorite records. And it was real infectious. It got me to go out and look for record stores in my area and start buying albums that I always had my eye on, or I was always curious about, that I never bought on CD or tape, and just start buying records and bringing them home and listening to them. I still had my turntable. I never got rid of my turntable, and I kind of caught the fever from Spellerine and Mr. Hall of Fame. But the problem was I was kind of shy. I didn't want to post any videos. I was starting to watch other members of the VC, and I noticed the eclectic taste in music. People like psychedelic, people like jazz and fusion music, or just straight up metal or straight up punk. And I looked at my taste in music and thought, people are gonna hate me on the VC. So I just watched videos, maybe I commented. I didn't comment too often though. I just love to watch them, and went out and bought records of my own. And it wasn't till I watched one video by Mr. Hall of Fame, and in his video he was showing a Billy Ocean record, and he was real passionate about why he liked it, and he thought the music on it was great, and so on and so on. And I thought to myself, well, if this guy can show off a Billy Ocean record and describe his passion for it, then what's stopping me from showing a Genesis record, or a Van Halen record, or a Marillion record, or a Rush record? So I decided I was gonna go for it and just get the camera out and give it a shot. And on June 9th, 2011, I posted my first video. I thought no one would watch it, and if someone watched it, no one would comment. And if they commented, they would just comment how much they thought my taste in music sucked. So I was real scared, real nervous about it, and scared. And to my delight, nothing but positive comments, and people encouraging me to post more and welcomed me to the VC. And I looked around at other people's videos and read their comments and noticed that no one was bashing anybody for their musical tastes. Variety and different tastes in music seemed to be accepted and encouraged in the VC, so it made me feel comfortable. So I went ahead and did more and more and more, thinking at one point people are going to stop watching me and there'll be no point in posting videos anymore, and I'll be done with it. Well, that was 3 years ago, and I'm still posting. and thank God people are still watching. People are still commenting and subscribing. So if you've been watching me since, no matter how long you've been watching me, actually, thank you for sticking with me, because I really love filming videos for the VC as a hobby. I look forward to it. I enjoy it. I never get tired of it. I could probably do it for another 3 more years, to tell you the truth. So what I want to do here is just show just a few records I showed in my first video, because I can't believe I've had these albums that long, and I bought them just showing videos. And in my first video in the background, I had this CD bumped in the system. It was, in my first video, I played the CD, the Porcupine Trees album called Lightbulb Sun. And that's what's being blasted in the background right now. And so while that was playing in the background, I showed a lot of the catches of the day, I guess you could say. The first album I threw up there on the camera was this one, the debut album from the Cars. And I remember when I bought it, I thought it was great. I thought it was really cool because I'm a big fan of classic rock, and they play a lot of Doors on classic rock radio. And this had a lot of the classic rock songs from them I liked, and still think it's a great record. I didn't really I don't listen to it very often. In fact, I can't even remember the last time I spun this. That had to be over a year ago or so. But with that said, I still think it's a really good album. And I remember when I used to go to my vinyl store, now being charged up by the VC, I would make a shopping list of records that I was on the hunt for if I wouldn't forget by the time I got up there. And this was like one of the first ones I jotted down and found it. So, I mean, I was real excited when I found it, and now I realize you can find this in any used record store, so what was I so excited about? But the joy of music, the joy of finding something you know is going to work out for you. So this was the first record I showed in video number 1. Another one I showed in that first video was this one. This is my favorite album from Peter Gabriel. I call it Melt, obviously because of the cover picture. It's his 3rd solo album. Though his albums really didn't have any names when he was first releasing them. This is still my favorite Peter Gabriel record. Nothing's really topped it as far as my ears are concerned. I love this album. I love spinning this one. This is the one, if I'm in a Peter Gabriel mood, this is always the one I go to first, and then So and Security and the live record he has, Gabriel Plays Live. But I always go to this one first because this just has a lot of songs that I love, and I just love the vibe of the record. It's real dark. The drum sound is real big. It has a song Games Without Frontiers, Biko, No Self-Control, Intruder, I Don't Remember, Family Snapshot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on here to love, and it's. I bought this album 3 years ago. It was my favorite even before I bought it on vinyl. So I had it on CD, and I can't even remember the last time I listened to the CD because when I'm in the mood to hear it now, the record gets spun and not the CD, and that's the way it should be with a lot of my favorite albums. So once again, going to the record store with the shopping list, found this one and got real excited. And I remember in the video I said, this is probably going to be a record I'm going to spin a lot. And I was right. I mean, I must listen to this about every couple of months or so. 2 to 3 months I have to spin this album. It's like a mandatory thing. That's how much I love it. And now this is the only way I can imagine listening to it. I can't imagine downloading it or listening to it on CD unless, I'm taking a long car ride, then yeah, but this is the preferred way to listen to this album. I just love it, especially on vinyl. This is one I showed in my first video too. It surprised me because I thought I bought it a little bit later, but it's Fair Warning from Van Halen. Another record I go to once every couple of months or so, especially when the beer's kicking in, or I'm on my way. So what better way to get started than with Van Halen? And this is my favorite Van Halen album out of everything in the David Lee Roth era. And as far as the David Lee Roth era, this album had the goods for me personally. It's an awesome album. I think it's a true Van Halen fans album, because there really weren't many hit songs, unless you want to call Unchained a hit song. It really wasn't, but it's a popular tune from Van Halen, so that's about as close to a hit single that came from this album. But the whole album, I think, is great. The intro to Mean Street is just fantastic. Some great guitar playing by Eddie Van Halen. Sinner Swing is great. Hear About It Later. Sunday Afternoon in the Park. When Van Halen went on the For Unlawful Call of Knowledge tour, they brought that song back in Michael Anthony's bass solo. It was great to hear that again. Hear About It Later is really good. When Push Comes to Shove, So This Is Love. So many great songs on this album. A lot of people don't rate it very high. I really can't understand why, because this is just such a great album. And once again, I prefer to listen to this on vinyl. Like I say, I go to it every couple months. The CD I have of this one, I bought the remastered CD. It actually sounds great on CD, but you know how we are. This is the preferred way. Another record from my first video, was the first album from the Pretenders. I bought this just out of curiosity. I've always liked them. They're a good 80s band. But I was never a big fan of them back in the day. They had a couple songs I liked, but I never really got into them. So I thought, I'll buy the first record. I found a really good copy. I remember back then for like $2-3 and thought that was a bargain, because I thought, this cover looked really good, in good shape. It didn't look beat up. Brought it home and absolutely loved this album. This is another one I go to a lot. Every 4 months or so, I'll just suddenly get in the mood for it, and I'll go to this one in their third album, which is another good record as well. But this one, it's after spinning all these albums, the love for vinyl was just, that was it. I knew I was addicted. I knew I was hooked, because all those records sounded absolutely fantastic on vinyl. Vinyl just made them sound better. I don't know what it was. It's still the same song on CD. It's still the same song on MP3, but the warm tone that vinyl gives you, and you're sitting here with a beer, side one finishes, you got to get off your ass and flip the damn record over. There's just some kind of interaction with the music. You're reading the lyric sheet, you're staring at the cover, reading whatever credits are in there. I mean, you get involved with the music. It's not just something in the background while you're hanging out. I mean, you're actually hanging out with the music. You're involved with it. You're interacting with it. It's an experience. So, and not only this record, but everything I'm going to show in this video. Really, this is what got me hooked and made me want to buy more. I always thought about this band. I always thought about that band. Curious about that band, so from this point I'm hooked now. And one of the last records I showed in my first video was Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair. This album I have not listened to in a long time, only because, this copy I haven't listened to in a long time, because later I would buy the Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab pressing of this album. From the original masters, and it sounds 1,000 times better than this used copy. But this is still a great album. I remember when it came out in '85, Tears for Fears was everywhere. You couldn't escape them for the life of you. And I told this story before in videos, so I'll try not to get into too much, but I still remember the day Shout and Everybody Wants to Rule the World really connected with me. Is when I was on a family vacation with my parents and my brothers and my sister, and just kicking back in the hotel, seeing the music video on TV. Suddenly I wasn't a big fan. Suddenly those songs connected with me, and this has been one of my favorite albums of all time ever since. And when we came home, I went and checked the tape out of the cassette out of the library, and dubbed it. and I've been a fan of this record ever since. And I always had it on a cassette. or CD. It wasn't until I joined the VC that I bought it on vinyl. And it made me love it even more. And then, you know, like I said, I buy the Mo-Fi pressing and hear things that even I didn't even hear on this copy. And then further, my love grew for this album. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. Just from hearing a better vinyl pressing. And it's like I can't put the record down now. I mean, I go to this one at least a couple of times a month. You would think I'm sick of this album, listening since 1985, but and when I bought the Mo-Fi, I heard little things in the background that I never heard before. And another benefit to vinyl is, you know, if you're so used to the CD copy or the cassette copy, suddenly you spin the album and you're like, oh wow, I never heard that conga pattern. I never heard that background guitar rhythm. You know, I never heard that weird keyboard pattern. You know, you start finding little things that you never heard before in the CD because it's so compressed. And vinyl, the sound has room to breathe, and it has that nice, deep, warm tone. It's like being wrapped in a big, thick blanket of sound. That's why I love vinyl, as opposed to digital format. All right, well, that's all I really wanted to show. These were records that graced my first video, and I just wanted to bring them out one more time since I'm celebrating 3 years in the VC. And, you know, and then such a thing as VCLT crept into my vocabulary. I started finding out what the word gatefold actually means, gold stamp promo, white label promo, and things like that. Stuff I'd never heard before. Learned a lot about collecting vinyl, how to properly care for the records and your turntable and your stylus. Learned a lot from the VC and made a lot of great friends here. A few of you I've met face to face. We, you know, went to vinyl stores together. A couple of you I talk on the phone, and the rest of you, you know, we just comment on each other's videos, and I hope we keep doing that, hopefully for another longer than 3 more years. Hopefully we keep doing this until Google pulls the plug and charges us for it. And then of course we'll all quit. But hopefully that won't happen within the next 3 years. So anyway, that's it. Just a celebration video for being in one of the best online communities I've ever been a part of. It's just nothing but positivity here. Occasionally there's a few bumps in the road, but they're never made anything major, and we seem to get over it really fast. It was a great community, and it really, really reignited my love for music. And I really can't imagine quitting doing this. Even if I make videos just for myself and watch them by myself, I'll probably still keep doing that. Who knows? Anyway, I'm rambling now. Anyway, here's to another 3 more years of VC. Later, folks.